part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Reg Iron Rota podcast, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park, right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our esteemed producer, Dave Emmert, who makes sure everything sounds absolutely fabulous for you in the podcastosphere. And Michael Regi, a lot has happened since we last chatted, and most of it coming out of Berea, Ohio, courtesy of Dee and Jimmy Haslam. Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, Deshaun Watson, and the Cleveland Browns, Michael. Let's get right into it. I watched the press conferences. I heard the other press conference. I'm sure you did as well. Your thoughts on the Browns' new quarterback, Deshaun Watson?
The Haslams bringing out the sledgehammers, aren't they, Ken?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, this is, Kenny, right off the top, I think this is career ownership defining for the Haslams. I mean, think about it. Now, there's no question about that. It's all subjective, but I don't know. I think Deshaun Watson is one of the top 6, 7 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Right.
8 in there, in my opinion. We know, Kenny, that's probably the most simplest of the story here, right? I mean, it's really, unfortunately, it's just not about that. But the reason I say, and I certainly, you and I will have some dialogue about it. If this goes well, obviously the Haslams are going to be lauded as having this organization finally getting to the point where, Browns fans the world over want it. Kenny, on the other hand, if this goes bad, oh my. I listen, I hate that. I don't see how, if it goes bad, they're going to have to sell this football team, Kenny. Listen, this is taking it to the extreme now, I feel, for social reasons, I mean, and I know the man, was Deshaun Watson. He, 2 grand juries, right, declined to indict him. So right now, everything is in the innocent till proven guilty phase. But Kenny, it's just it's a hell of a leap by the Haslams. It's a hell of a leap.
Reg, it shows that they're desperate, right?
Yep.
That they're willing to do almost anything to put a winning product on the field. He is innocent until proven guilty. And as you mentioned, 2 different grand juries, 2 different counties felt there was not enough evidence to indict, which all of a sudden made everybody interested in Deshaun Watson, right? Because if there are no criminal charges, they'll deal with the civil lawsuits, right? That's just money. And they may go to court. They may not go to court. They may settle out of court. And so, sure, there could be suspensions from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games, who knows, depending on how this plays out. But if there are no criminal charges, teams in the National Football League, they look at this talent of Deshaun Watson, 4,800 yards his last full season that he played, combined, I think, for 36 touchdowns throwing and running.
Yes.
In 4 years, over 104 touchdowns in his career, combined throwing and running the football. He is a major upgrade on the field for the Cleveland Browns over Baker Mayfield. That's not debatable. What is debatable is his character and whether or not, he's telling the truth, because it's a he said, she said situation. And he stood up there at the press conference and said that he is innocent of these charges, and said he doesn't plan on settling the civil suits as well, which would clear his name completely. Now, will that hold true? We'll have to wait and see. I think there's 17 more depositions from the lawyer of the ladies that are suing him that he has to go through. So we'll see if something comes of that as far as a settlement, so he doesn't have to go through all 17 of those. Or, Reg, this thing could draw out through the end of the season into next year.
Well, it could. And let's, again, though, what was the cost? I mean, the football cost initially, Kenny, 6 draft picks, 6. including the next 3 Cleveland Brown first rounders. That as of right now, so you don't have a first rounder through 2024 now. Now you, on top of that, they redid his contract, correct?
Yep.
$80 million more than the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history, $230 million for the next 5 years, largest single guaranteed contract in NFL history. I mean, that's the bottom line on this. So that's why I say, the Haslams are putting it all out there. And the thing, though, that now the suspension, Kenny, I think it's going to be in the 4 to 6 game range.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm in that ballpark, too. I could see it maybe. Let's say he goes to court on these civil suits, right? And he loses.
Right.
And, he's found guilty and has to pay, right?
Right.
I could see an 8-game suspension appealed down to 6, maybe 4. That's why they went out and got Jacoby Brissett. All right, Reg? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm expecting some type of suspension, and I think the Browns are expecting that as well. But with the draft pick, Reg, here's the way I look at the draft picks, okay? This year's draft pick that they gave up was number 13, right?
Yes.
Deshaun Watson's their first-round pick this year.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I don't even look at that as a lost draft pick. They would rather have Watson than the 13th overall pick, and I agree with that from a pure football talent, okay? They didn't have to give up a second-round pick this year, so that gives them the opportunity to pull a Los Angeles Rams and go all in this year, right? They still have their second-round pick.
Yeah.
They went out and traded for Amari Cooper, and we'll see if they bring back Jadeveon Clowney, Jarvis Landry, rumors of those things happening. So at least they can go all in and try and win it this year. But, yeah, starting next year and the year after, no first-round pick. But will they recoup any of those draft picks by trading Baker Mayfield? Well, right now there doesn't look to be a trade market for Baker Mayfield. I say hold on to Baker Mayfield like the Houston Texans did with Deshaun Watson and wait to see if another team during the regular season, Reg, ends up losing a number 1 quarterback, starting quarterback, and somebody's desperate out there. I think you'll get more value for Baker Mayfield that way than you will trying to trade him now or just releasing him now.
Well, yeah, that's one way to look at it. You're right, because all starting quarterback spots are full right now, correct? Every one of them, maybe with the exception of the Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle, and if Carolina thinks Sam Darnold's the answer, well, then you know what? They God bless them if they think he's going to turn out. I would take Baker Mayfield over Sam Darnold, and I would take Baker Mayfield over whoever Seattle got from the Broncos in Locke or whoever the hell that is.
Yeah, sure. Well, here's our understanding right now, and I get it, and I think we both are pretty strong in the Andrew Berry camp as far as what he's done and accomplished here as the GM of the Cleveland Browns. And right now, though, if you got to remember, Ken, if you do keep him on this roster and go into the year with him, that's $18.8 million against your salary cap. So, the way I see it, Kenny, is that can we really say do the Browns have much leverage right now in this thing around the league with Baker Mayfield? First of all, again, if you trade for him, you're meaning you, the other team. Yeah, the Browns would love to. Kenny, I don't know, a 5th or 6th rounder, about the best they could hope for, and Barry came out the other day and said as far as trading them, right? Because evidently, Kenny, some of the teams that have, had some thought about doing it, they want the Browns to pay a portion of Mayfield's that $18.8 million and add a draft pick in too.
Yeah, that's not happening. Barry's not doing that.
You can't do that. You do have to, like you said, you got to let the thing play out. Yeah. But again, the other side to that, though, and again, it's almost if you do when you keep them on the roster with Deshaun Watson and Jacoby Brissett, Kenny, that's $19 million against your salary cap.
But Reg, if you cut them, that's still $19 million against your salary cap, right? So either way, you're stuck. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Because if a team picks him, let's say you cut him and a team picks him up and they pay They say, we're going to sign you to a 1-year deal for $3 million. Okay, the Browns get $3 million off that cap hit.
Yeah,
okay,
that's right. Yeah.
So there might be a little financial relief there, but a team might say, hey, you're already getting paid $19 million from the Browns. We'll give you 1 year, $1 million with incentives. And that way the Browns only say, so that's why I think he's more valuable as the 53rd man on the roster, like the Texans did with Deshaun Watson, and then wait to see who gets hurt or possibly even trade him in the offseason. Well, you can't, because then he's the free agent. So then he becomes anybody's, possibility. So you hope that, I hate to say this, you hope somebody gets hurt, they need a quarterback, and then you'd be able to trade him during the season.
Yeah, one of the tentacles I find interesting on this, Kenny, is that, you're hearing from a lot of other owners now and kind of expressing their lack of content, shall we say, about this amount of money, this amount of guaranteed money. Yeah. And I noticed that the Ravens owner, Steve Bisciotti, he came out and he was all fired up about it because he got to pay Lamar Jackson.
Right.
So, I mean, these are situations that, again, it's and you as a Browns fan, I'm sure you're going to say, who the hell cares what other good? Stick it to all the other owners, stick it to them, put it on them. And you know what? If this thing works, then they're all going to have to figure out ways to have to combat with the Browns finally. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of things going on here. And although I did see what didn't D. Haslam say, no, at the owners' meetings, everything's been very congenial.
Here's what they said to our faces, that they haven't said anything, bad. Well, no, they're not going to look at you in the eye and say, you idiots, why did you do this? It's going to cost all of us, more guaranteed money. So, and Reg, I know, they were out of the country for something, and maybe it was pre-planned, Reg, but when you make the most important and controversial decision in your 10 years as owners of the Cleveland Browns, to me, I got to cancel whatever is out of the country and be there as the owners in the same room with the general manager, head coach, and Deshaun Watson, not via Zoom call from whatever other country they were in. That, to me, was a bad look by the Haslems.
Couldn't agree more. Very bad look. And I was, I just became more and more astounded when it was obvious that, look at the initial thing that came out, Kenny. I mean, they're putting all of this on Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, were the two sitting out there answering all of the questions that were coming fast and furious about everything from criminally to from a civil sector and what kind of money could be involved with. That wasn't for your head coach and your general manager to do. Nope. That's real poor, weak stuff from the Haslems, real weak.
And then when they did answer questions, they were asked, whose decision was this to go after Deshaun Watson? And they said, well, it was a football ops decision, not an ownership decision. Now, okay, I guess you have to believe them, right? But then again, it's not like Jimmy's been in trouble with another business in the FBI or anything like that, where he would lie or anything like that, allegedly. So let's just, he threw it, like you said, he threw it all. This is a football ops decision. He made it sound like Barry wanted him, Stefanski wanted him. So they signed off on it. And so somebody said to me, Roadman, maybe that's why they were out of the country. Maybe they didn't want to do this. And it was the football ops decision. And so they were trying to distance themselves from it. Well, either way, they signed off on it, whether it was their decision or not. They could have told them no, right? If they didn't feel good about it, they could have said no. But they know the most important position in all of sports is the quarterback position. And their quarterback was not going to lead them. They looked at him for 4 years. He wasn't a franchise, game-changing, franchise-changing quarterback. They had a chance to get one with some strings attached, baggage attached, and they're willing to take the PR hit because they think in the long run, the PR spin or the PR news that will come out of it later is a positive one, that he turned his life around, whatever, and led them to a Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you're Deshaun Watson, I certainly hope that young man is of the mindset that he better be absolutely to the maximum on top of everything that he does and says, because hey, man, the eyes of the world are on you. And, to give yourself the best chance, Deshaun, you got to stay. You got to stay to the. You say, you're a giving man and a man who cares and a man that wants to be better to make everybody else better around you. Well, you got to take that 365 now. I mean, whether you're off the field, on the field, it doesn't matter. So I hope he's of that mindset, Kenny, to do just that.
Well, I was disappointed in a few of his answers during the press conference, Reg, where they asked him, did you regret anything? He said, no, come on. You're dealing with, grand jury indictments and civil lawsuits from 22 different women. That answer was not good. And then he said, well, it wasn't about the money. That's not why I came back to Cleveland. Yes, it was. Don't give me that bullshit that it wasn't about the money. That's exactly what it was about. Okay. You said no to Cleveland. It's cold weather out there, and their contract wasn't, what we were looking for. And then they found out nobody would guarantee him the 4th and 5th year. And Cleveland said they would. Okay, I'll sign there and deal with the weather as it comes. So there were a couple of answers from him that, he looked all calm, cool, and collected up there, but he was spinning some serious bullshit, I think, on a couple of the answers. That did not sit well with me. So we'll see where he takes it from there. Okay, Reg?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And the bottom line is, like I said, this guy, he is going to be under the microscope. I mean, going forward now, Kenny here all the time. So he doesn't have much room to go astray in any faction of his life, shall we say. It's got to be pretty much on a straight and narrow from here going forward. And as well as playing winning football to, as I said, show you're one of the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the NFL and do that every Sunday.
And I'm hoping in that contract there is some type of morals clause for the Browns that they can get out of it should he not stay on the straight and narrow, Michael Regai, as well. All right, Reg, we got to get a break in right now. We'll do that when we come back on the R&R podcast. We're going to turn our attention to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are limping literally into not the playoffs, but now the play-in tournament in the NBA. That's next.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? Chase Smith here, host of the Chase Smith podcast, and my podcast reflects who I am. My hobbies, my interests, my passions, my curiosities, my careers, my questions, and my family. I'll spend time talking about all types of sports, movies, TV shows, trending news stories, and other cultural events, and even faith. This is who I am, and I hope I can get to know you as well. Join me on the Chase Smith podcast, and let's have some thought-provoking conversations, only on the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's good, everybody? My name is Taylor Vanderbilt, and I'm the host of the 440 College Basketball Podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. On the 440, we talk about literally everything college basketball related. It could be women's, it could be men's, it could be recruiting, it could be the tournament. It does not matter. We cover it all. So check it out. Again, it's the 440 College Basketball Podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome back to the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park. Hey, before you know it, Kentucky Derby is going to be here. You're going to want to wager on that Kentucky Derby. You can do so at Northfield Park. So get on out there and have a great time. We appreciate MGM Northfield Park back on board for another year with the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Michael Regai, Cavaliers, a couple of podcasts ago, maybe, I said, Reg, I think they're going to end up at 42-40. And then they won a couple of games, and I was looking like I was going to be way off. Well, guess what, Michael Regai? They're at 42 wins right now, and they may not win another game the rest of the regular season because of how many injuries they have. And that's going to drop them out of the guaranteed sixth playoff spot into either 7, 8, or 9 in the play-in tournament. They are guaranteed that. But, Michael, the injuries mounting and the Cavaliers just unable with the lack of depth to keep pace with the Toronto Raptors, the Chicago Bulls, and here come the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, but it goes to show, Kenny, again, and I mean, it is whether you want to Jared Allen and the rook Evan Mobley, what they meant as 7-foot rim protectors. Now, I'm not trying to say either one of them is Bill Russell.
Right.
But they were guys that could erase, as we know, and certainly give some latitude to Cavaliers defenders being beat on the perimeter because they can shot block, both of them, and you have to account for them defensively. Kenny, without that, like watching, we're doing this as the Cavaliers are playing the Atlanta Hawks. And of course, the night before last night, they just got scorched by Luka Doncic and the
Larry
Dallas
Bird.
Mavericks.
Was that Larry Bird I saw last night playing him with the fake pass over the head of Brown and then pulling it back and shooting a jumper, behind the back passes,
was cool.
over the shoulder passes, step back, fall away jumpers, almost a triple-double. Boy, oh boy.
Well, and again, so defensively, look, they're going to give up $120, it looks like, every night now to the rest of these teams that they're going to play. And they got 6 games left after tonight. I don't think they're going to rally up and win this one. So, Kenny, I don't know. Could they lose out? I suppose they could lose out. If you look at the last couple of games, you could have teams who have maybe, shut some of their players down for a year. That's a possibility, but no, it's just not looking real good right now. And it looks like they're going to have to, as you said, fall into those, that bottom tier and not guaranteed anything. And I mean, Kenny, because what, if you fall to that, what was that 9-10 spot, you lose one, you're done.
Well, and this is, if you win, I think if you're 7th and you win your first game, you're in. Okay.
I think
and
that's
then
right.
The winner of the 8-9 game, I'm confused by it. This whole play-in tournament and everything like that. I was told you're guaranteed if you're 7, 8, 9. I think you're guaranteed 2 games, right, in the play-in tournament, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
if you lose, you get another one.
Yeah. So
yes. So, but again, I mean, it could be, they could be going up against the Brooklyn Nets, in that play in, and, boy, oh boy, with what Durant and, his pal Kyrie Irving could do, so, I mean, look, they just got to play it out. Unfortunately, they are very shorthanded. And that's the way they're going to have to deal with it and see what it brings them. I mean, you can look at it and say, I mean, none of us ever thought I was looking at what I picked them at 32-50, Kenny. So, this before the season began. I think you were a little bit above that, if I remember correctly. Maybe you had 34, 35 wins, but
I said the max they would win was 35. I had them at 30 wins this year, Rich.
Okay.
Yeah.
So neither one of us thought they were going to be a playoff team. So,
right.
I mean, if you want to really like Evan Mobley, obviously, I think Jared Allen for this team has been real good, especially, as we said, on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do, in the offseason. But to think that anything real positive is going to come out of this in the next few weeks, I doubt that that's going to happen.
All right, here it is. how the play-in tournament works, Michael Rega, and for all our listeners out there. Game 1, the number 7 team in the standings by winning percentage will host the number 8 team in the standings, with the winner earning the number 7 seed in the playoffs. Okay. Yeah. So 7 plays 8, and whoever wins gets a playoff series. They move into the 7 seed. Okay.
That makes them 7. Okay.
Okay. Then the loser of that first game will play another game. All right. The number 9 team will host the number 10 team, with the winner moving on to game 3. The loser in 9-10 is eliminated. All right. Mm-hmm. So if you are 9 or 10 and you lose, you're out.
You're out.
Okay. One game.
Out.
Okay. Yeah. If you're 7 or 8 and you lose, you get a second chance to play the winner of the 9-10 game and get the 8th seed in the playoffs. So it confuses the hell out of me. That's, what I found on the intranet. And if it's on the intranet, it must be real, as Greg Brinda used to tell me. So there you go. Here's the thing, Reg. All they can hope for is to get Mobley and Allen back for the play-in tournament. Because if they don't, they're going to be either one and done or two and done. Because they can't beat, in my opinion, the Nets, who they would, possibly go up against in that first game, or the Hornets or the Hawks. Those are the 4 teams that are going to be the play-in teams, okay?
Yep.
So to me, the Hawks, maybe, depending on where that game is at, that's who they're playing tonight, and they're getting beat without, Mobley and Allen in the lineup. So ideally, you want to be 7, and you win that first game, and you're in guaranteed. Right. But it won't matter to me unless they get Allen or Mobley back. I don't think they stand a chance with either one of those, especially both of those guys out. I think it'll be a quick exit from the play-in tournament if that's the case.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think so too. So we'll play it out. We'll be doing, a couple of podcasts here in the next few weeks as we get toward playoff time, and we'll see where that goes. But I think we're both on the same line of thinking. It's going to be very, very difficult for this team the way they're currently constructed right now.
Yeah, it really is, Reg. Hey, before we get to a break, and then we're going to come back and briefly talk Guardians, Michael Reg. All right?
Oh,
briefly.
Guardians?
Yes, because it's about to get rolling here, okay?
Yeah.
Final 4. Villanova against Kansas in the first game on Saturday, as we're taping this on a Thursday night. And then it's the greatest rivalry in college basketball, Tobacco Road. It's Duke and North Carolina in the nightcap. Kansas, a 4.5-point favorite. Mike Krzyzewski in what might be his final game, his Duke Blue Devils, a 4-point favorite. Who do you like in the Final Four and to cut down the nets there in New Orleans?
Well, I love Jay Wright, in his Villanova squad, Kenny. And although when they're so tough, so gritty, and they're going to keep that score in the 50s or 60s and just find ways to win. Such a good basketball team. But losing Justin Moore, their outstanding guard, I think it's going to be too much for them to overcome. They only play really about 7 guys anyway, and that's with Moore. So I have to go Kansas in that one because of the loss of Moore, and I'm going with the Carolina Tar Heels in the other one. Kenny. I know. I think they're playing. They've been playing excellent basketball. I think offensively they've got a lot of things going on for themselves right now. They're shooting the ball really, really well, and Manick, the big fella, the transfer, adds a lot to their on the front court. So I'm going to take Carolina too. I know that's probably, you got to want Coach K to go out a winner now. Well, yeah. Hey, if that's in the cards and he deserves to do that and his basketball team can do that for him, well, more power to him. But I think Carolina is going to beat them. And then, Kenny, I guess I'll go with Bill Self in Kansas to win it all.
All right, here's the way I'm looking at it, Reg. I hate Duke. All right,
I know you do.
Good riddance. So long, Coach K. Thanks for the gold medals for our country, but the 5 national championships in that rivalry, you're on one side or the other, and I'm a sky blue Carolina Tar Heel guy from the Phil Ford 4-corner offense days. All right, going all the way back to that, right?
Yep.
So I'm rooting against Duke. Having said that, Paulo Banchero, oh my goodness gracious. I think he's going to be something special at the NBA level. Williams in the middle is playing like a man possessed, blocking shots, altering shots, grabbing rebounds, even scoring buckets. I think their guard plays good enough. It's not great, but it's good enough. I'm rooting for Carolina to do what they did at Cameron Indoor Arena, right? Spoil the party there like they did. I want that to happen again. Nothing would make me happier than to see Carolina close out Coach K's career with a loss in the Final Four. So I'll be rooting for the Tar Heels, but I just think the revenge factor, the Coach K emotional factor, I think Duke's going to win that game. I like Kansas, as you do, over Villanova because of the injury factor there. And I think, unfortunately, Coach K is going to ride off into the sunset with that net around his neck and a 6th national championship, as he calls it, quits there for the Duke Blue Devils. And then all John Shire will have when he takes over is the highest rating recruiting class maybe in the history of Duke coming in next year. As I watched the McDonald's All-American game the other night, and 3 guys from Duke were playing in that game, and they're going to be set next year when Shire takes over, Reg.
Yeah. Well, that certainly is going to put John Shire in a great spot. So, all right, you got Duke, and I got Kansas, and we'll see how that rolls next time we get together.
Hey, here's my favorite teams right now. Anybody that plays Duke. So I'm rooting for Carolina, and if Duke wins, then I'm rooting for either Kansas or Nova to win it all. Anybody that plays Duke, they're my favorite team. All right. Let's do this, Reg. We'll get a quick break in. Then we're going to come back, and we are going to talk some Major League Baseball because April 7th, opening day, Cleveland Guardians at Kansas City to kick off the 2022 MLB season. I'll tell you what Vegas thinks of the Indians and see where you feel the Indians might finish in the, the AL Central Division as we talk baseball next on the R&R podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Mike Voorhees.
And I'm Brian Shaw. No, not the pitcher. We're the Guardians of the Land MLB podcast, formerly a Swing and a Tribe.
Don't have time to watch 162 games of baseball? We do. We have you covered with recaps of the games, stats, and analysis throughout the MLB season.
Subscribe now to Guardians of the Land and Press Play Pods for all your Cleveland sports analysis.
We are excited to announce that we are joining the Press Play Podcast Network. The Krypton Report podcast is dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl, and the planet Krypton. We discuss movies, TV, game, comics, and all things DC.
So join me, Tyler, with my co-host James and Jania.
So join us as we explore DC's multiverse.
Look for Krypton Report on all social media platforms.
Hi, my name is Sam Post, owner of Phenomwell CBD Store and PhenomwellCBD.com. That's like phenomenal, PhenomwellCBD.com. Tune in where we talk with experts about how the amazing hemp plant can make a difference for people's health and well-being from the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we return to the Reggae and Rhoda podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park and Michael Reggae. I'm thinking of
it's all right. Bob Marley. Yeah,
Bob Marley action. I was listening to Three Birds in the car a little bit earlier today.
Nice.
Oh yeah. I had the vibes rolling in the car with a little Three Birds from Bob Marley.
I like that.
But Michael Reggae, are you ready for some Major League Baseball action? Because you're getting it starting April 7th with your Guardians. Have you heard the new theme song too? Have you heard that one yet, Reg?
I saw it came out, but Kenny, I didn't press play. No, I haven't listened. So I guess I'm going to have to get on the right side of things and make sure I listen. But, look, pitching, they've got that. Led by Shane Bieber, who will start on opening day. But Kenny, I'll just cut right to the chase. I don't see them. I see them maybe as 78, 79 win baseball team around 500, but I do not see them as a team that is going to, contend for anything of significance.
All right. Well, then you are taking the over with those numbers you just gave me, Reg, because Vegas has the Guardians over-under win total at 76.5.
Okay.
In the AL Central, here's how they broke it down. White Sox, the favorites, at 91.5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
The Twins in second place, 81.5 wins. Your Detroit Tigers, 77.5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
The Cleveland Guardians, 76.5, and the Royals at 74.5. So you're going to take the Guardians to go over 76.5, but barely, right?
Barely, yeah. I'm going to say, in that upper 70s. Yeah, maybe they get to 80 wins at 80 and 82. But again, Kenny, I just don't see them being a postseason baseball team this year.
They were 80 and 82 a year ago, Reg, right?
Yep.
And yeah, their pitching staff was decimated by injuries. I get that. But this offseason, and it was a short one because of the lockout, they failed to address their biggest need, and that was the offense.
That's right.
Yeah. They think they're going to do it from within. A healthy Josh Naylor, knock on wood. Let's hope he's back and able to play 130 games, right? Minimum. He went 2 for 3 in his first spring training game the other day with a double. Great to see. He's a high energy guy, good in that locker room. So they're hoping that Naylor is back. They feel Miles Straw is going to set the table at the top of the order in center field.
I like Miles Straw.
They acquired him from the Astros last year.
Yep.
So they're going to have Straw leading off in center field. Ahmed Rosario, Reg, is going to bat second either at shortstop or left field.
Listen, if you're going to mess around with having him play a little bit of left field, which was one of the real weak spots of this baseball team, then keep him out there, Kenny. Just keep them out there. Don't start trying to move kids between positions and do this. I don't like that. Keep them out there. I don't know, that came out of nowhere to me. Did you? Well, I saw that the other day. Well, we're going to play Ahmed Rosario at someone left field. Okay. Well, then if you're going to do that, then keep him out there and see what the kid can give you. Don't give him 12 games and then start moving them back around. I just don't like that with younger players.
Here's why they want to do that, because they feel that Jimenez is a nice bat to have in the lineup along with Rosario. If they play Rosario at shortstop, they're not going to get Jimenez in the lineup. Okay. So they're figuring, you know what? We are challenged offensively. Hell, we got no hit 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times, whatever the hell it was last year, right?
Too many.
So too many times. And so they want to get as many what they think are major league bats in the lineup. So here's the way I'm looking at it. Straw in center, Rosario in left, Ramirez at third base hitting third, Reyes your DH now that it's universal. That's great. So he can play every day. He's your cleanup guy. Naylor, they're hoping, if healthy, in right field hitting fifth. Bobby Bradley at first base hitting sixth. Austin Hedges catching, hitting seventh. Yu Chang or Owen Miller or Freeman or Clement or whoever the hell they're going to put at second base hitting eighth. And then Jimenez at shortstop. That sounds like an everyday lineup for this Cleveland Guardians team. And because of that, Reg, I'm going to take the under and say 74 or 75 wins for the Guardians this year.
Well, sure. Well, that everyday positional hitting lineup you just laid out strikes fear in no one, Kenneth.
Yeah.
No one. So, good luck with that. Hey, all of you terrific Indian starters, and they have an excellent starting staff. I hope you're ready to win a lot of 3-2s and 2-1s and 4-3s, because I'm afraid more nights than not, Ken, that's what it's going to have to be for the Guardians to grab a W. Did I say Indians a couple of moments ago? I think I did. Well,
everybody's
habits are hard
still
to break, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, here's your starting rotation. Bieber, Savali. Whoa.
Yeah.
Savali. Whoa. That's my guy there. Savali, number 2. Plesac 3. Quantrill 4. And McKenzie 5, Reg. And I asked McKenzie and Quantrill this week because we had him on the Kenny and JT show on WHBC. if they're feeling more pressure because of the lack of offense. And they all say, oh, no, we believe in our guys. They're working hard. No more pressure on us or the bullpen or anything like that. They said what they had to say. I get it. But when you have cheap owners that aren't willing to spend any money to help the offense, this is what you're dealing with. And yeah, they have a stocked farm system supposedly, and I've been reading things about it. And it says it's really good. Numerous people I respect in the business say the farm system is pretty loaded, but that doesn't help you right now. And we're talking about winning now, and this team doesn't have what it takes to challenge. I don't think so for the division, let alone the AL championship or a World Series championship. So I'm going to go 74 or 75 wins this year with the Guardians. And I'm hopeful that Terry Francona makes it through all 162. It sounds like he's as healthy as he's been in a number of years. He's important to that team and that organization. So hopefully he gets through 162 this year, Reg.
Absolutely, no doubt about it, because, you know, you got one of the best skippers in the game, and he does make a difference. Well, managers, managers, I think 6, 7, 8 games one way or another, because, we either win, lose through the course of a year off what a manager does or doesn't do, and, how he puts his baseball team in the best position to win. So, yes, let's hope that there's good health all year long for Terry Francona. But like I said, Kenny, just to me, too deficient offensively. Pitching. Well, yeah, of course. And again, I give them all the credit in the world for that. They've got very good to it, sometimes excellent pitching. But Kenny, in this day and age too, you gotta hit the baseball and you gotta deliver runs. You got to be able to put 5 runs a game up now. I mean, if you're going to be, do anything of significance, and I question whether or not this offense can do that very often, quite honestly.
And other than Clase in the bullpen, a lot of question marks there as well, Reg. And those starters may go 5, 6, 7 innings, give up 2 or 3 runs, and then the bullpen throws gasoline on the bonfire and blows it all up, right?
Yeah.
So there are some question marks there, you know?
Yes, you're right.
He's got a bad shoulder, so we don't know when he'll be back. Clase's the only solid spot, in my opinion, there with Henches and some of the other. We'll see. So 74, 75 wins. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the first year for the Guardians is a spectacular one, and I have to eat crow because they're in the playoffs. All right, Reg, that's going to do it for another edition of the RNR podcast. We'll get back at this on at least a twice a month journey throughout the rest of 2022. And of course, once the Browns play, maybe 3 times a month, because we'll be doing those Browns post-game shows as here on the Press Play Podcast Network. All right, bud?
Always fun, Kenny. Great to be with you, and I look forward to the next time we do it.
Sounds great, Dave Emmert. You're the best. We appreciate it. And for all our listeners out there, we appreciate you more than you know. And for those of you just tuning in for the first time, hey, go subscribe, Press Play Podcast Networks. Subscribe there. Follow us on Twitter at RegIRota. And that way you'll know whenever we're dropping another one of these R&R podcasts.